As the fifth entry into the Fast and the Furious franchise, does Fast 5 find itself firing on all cylinders? Or is this film flawed and floundering from the starting line? Find out right now on Movieology. Welcome to Movieology, your ticket to engaging the spectacular world of film from the bedrock of biblical truth. I'm your host, Stewart Adams. Be sure to check out Movieology on our website, Movieology.tv, subscribe to the show on YouTube, like our page on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. If you have any movie-related questions or just general words of wisdom, you can email us at info@Movieology.tv. You can also sign up for Movieology's bi-weekly newsletter in order to stay up to date by going to our website subscriptions page. As Joseph mentioned in our last episode, the Movieology email system has had some problems that have now been fixed. We don't want to miss out on any messages you may have sent between April 4th and 27th, so please resend them as well as your entries for the contest, which has been extended through the month of May. In Fast 5, former cop Brian O'Connor partners with ex-con Dom Toretto on the opposite side of the law. Since Brian and his girlfriend Mia broke Dom out of custody, they've blown across many borders to elude authorities. Now backed into a corner in Rio de Janeiro, they must pull one last job in order to have enough cash to buy their freedom. As they assemble their elite team of top racers, the unlikely allies know their only shot of getting out for good means confronting the corrupt businessman named Reyes who wants them dead. But he's not the only one on their tail. Hard-nosed federal agent Luke Hobbs never misses his target. When he is assigned to track down Dom and Brian, he and his strike team launch an all-out assault to capture them. But as his men tear through Brazil, Hobbs learns that he can't separate the good guys from the bad. Now he must rely on his instincts to corner his prey before someone else runs them down first. Fast 5 stars Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, Dwayne Johnson, Jordana Brewster, and Tyrese Gibson. It was directed by Justin Lin. Anyone who is familiar with the previous Fast and Furious movies should know that Fast 5 is pretty much more of the same. The film is a visual shot of adrenaline that involves amazing special effects and physics-defying stunts. The action sequences are so over the top, in fact, that the audience is asked to suspend disbelief through the entire movie. Whether it's a 50,000-pound vault being pulled through the streets by two Dodge Chargers, or two characters surviving a fall from several hundred feet after driving over a cliff, there's no doubt that this film is all about the spectacular. The acting in Fast 5 is consistent with the previous films, and by that I mean it is absolutely awful. There's no sense of pacing with any of the characters, and they seem to always speak with an extreme intensity no matter what the situation is. That being said, I found myself almost enjoying the cheesiness of the dialogue, particularly with Dwayne Johnson's character. For once, it felt like the movie knew its own identity and made a point of not taking itself too seriously. Fast 5 differs from the previous films in that it has become more of a heist movie than a street racing movie. With many similarities to films like Ocean's 11 and The Italian Job, Fast 5's story and characters have more depth than its predecessors, but that's not really saying much. Critics have praised Fast 5 as it currently sits at 80% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, whereas every one of the previous films in the franchise received ratings in varying degrees of rotten. This was a bit surprising to me considering the numerous flaws in the movie, especially when there are issues as basic as simple continuity. Fast 5 brings back two characters who have died in previous films and doesn't explain why or how. But I think the overall change in focus is what critics find appealing and has made number 5 stand out. Yes, the newest film does introduce a better story and in many ways seems to have grown up. But on the whole, it is simply another shallow plot clothed in the glittery apparel of high-octane computer graphics. One example of this growing up is that Mia, Dom's sister and Brian's girlfriend, is found out to be pregnant with Brian's baby. Of course, the fact that it occurred out of wedlock isn't even brought up, but the film uses this unborn child as a way of manufacturing nobility in the actions of the quote-unquote protagonists. Speaking of protagonists, at its core, Fast 5 doesn't really have any. The characters intended to be the protagonists are on the run from the law for all the crime they committed in previous films. They steal money and cars, destroy property, objectify women, react violently, kill people, though it is shown as self-defense, and pretty much break every traffic law known to man with complete disregard for the repercussions. Money and the supposed freedom they can buy with it are the heroes' only motivation as they try and avoid the consequences of their actions rather than taking responsibility for them. As audience members, this scenario resonates with us as we are able to live out the same outrageous life of danger vicariously through the movie's characters without the headache of real consequences in the real world. The other two factions in the film are no better when it comes to morality. The mob boss Reyes is portrayed as the true villain who keeps the people of Rio under his thumb and is corrupt to the point of killing anyone who gets in his way. The federal agents, who are supposed to be on the side of law and justice, also lack any form of moral compass as they callously hunt down their targets and kill them without a second thought rather than trying to apprehend them. Eventually, the agents change loyalties and team up with the thieves in order to bring Reyes down, and then they prove to the viewer once and for all that they are no more the good guys than the criminals themselves. Now let's take a moment to thank our sponsor. American Vision is dedicated to restoring America's biblical foundation. They have invaluable resources for history, apologetics, eschatology, and worldview studies. No biblical enthusiast should go without tapping into their wealth of accessible scholarly work. As a Movieology fan, you are treated to 10% off all purchases at AmericanVision.com when you use the coupon code Hollywood at checkout. American Vision is the ministry that will help you understand the world you live in, so check them out at AmericanVision.com. The fantasy of escapism in Fast 5 appeals to what is base in man, and the movie presents a message of evil is more acceptable when there is someone who is more evil than you are. It stresses an ends justify the means philosophy, as all the wrongdoing required to take out the worst wrongdoer is worth it in the end despite the trail of carnage left in your wake. I give Fast 5 1.5 stars for making some progress for the franchise and having some very entertaining moments, but ultimately being an empty and downright amoral film that blatantly praises evil and teaches us that crime does pay if you drive fast enough. As always, we would advise you to screen this film for inappropriate content before deciding to go see it. If you have questions or comments regarding this film, please email us at info@movieology.tv, or you can message us on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. Until next time, I'm Stewart Adams. Thanks for watching. Anyone who is familiar with the previous Fast and the Furious movies. They're movies for cows. 1.5 stars for making some progress on the for the franchise. What happened? El número 6. That's Spanish for the número 6. El número 7! Yay! Tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo. And today is Star Wars Day.
Really?
May the 4th be with you.